What is up everyone? Today I am so excited to talk to you guys about this mystery project that's floating around. I've been mentioning it here and there and I haven't kept it secret at all because I believe I've actually done a Facebook post about it, about my wish list and stuff. And that is the Power Hack G4 Quicksilver project that I am 99% sure that I'm going to do. So before we go any further in the video, I know before I've talked to you guys about plans and they've never come true. This could be the case this time. But all I'm making this video for is just so that I can discuss with you guys plans, see what you guys think of all my ideas, throw around, you know, discussion about parts and stuff, and see where we stand. Because one thing that I really do appreciate about having a channel like this is I've got loads of viewers that are, you know, equally and even more good at this computer stuff than I am. You know, I've got viewers that constantly educate me in the comments. So the great thing about making these discussion videos is I can have a full-on discussion with some of you guys if you guys think my ideas are bad or good or whatever. So we're just going to talk about the parts, we're going to talk about the project, talk about what I want to do and what I think is right. And basically I'm so excited to make this video because I haven't made a dedicated video about this yet. So, this is the first big reveal of the Power Hack G4 Quicksilver project that I'm hoping to work on. So without further ado, let's dive in and let me explain to you guys what the hell is going on and all of my plans to do with this system. So before we go any further, if you guys head down into the video description and actually open up a link that should be in there if I can figure out all the technology, and keep it in a tab next to this video so that you can look at my Amazon wish list for reference. I do have a dedicated public wish list that should be titled Power Hack G4 Quicksilver, and that will have all of the parts listed in there that I want to put into this build. Now, two disclaimers about this list. Number one, it is constantly changing. It will change, so check it every now and again if you want to keep up to date with what I'll be ordering. Number two, the list itself does have a lot of stuff in there that a load of you won't be interested in, you know, in terms of fan filters, cable ties, cable extensions, USB hub, stuff like that. Little stuff that I need that I'm going to buy at the same time as all the big parts, you know, the CPU and the graphics card and everything. Just little stuff that you need to make the system work, basically. And you'll be able to guess a load of the little things that I'm planning on doing just with the little parts that are in that wish list. But one thing that isn't in the wish list is any of the stuff that I need for modding. Now, I'm going to talk about modding the case probably after all of the components, because I'm sure more of you will be interested to know about the components because it's probably a specialised, you know, type of person that's more interested in modding the G4 case and stuff. But it should still be entertaining, so I'll leave that until the end of the video in case you guys get bored. Anyway, so open the wish list. It should work out fine. If not, I will try and fix it. I'll probably get early comments saying the wish list doesn't work. And also, I need to update it on ideas that I'm going to talk about in this video, so I'll do that while this video is exporting. But anyway, let's open up. Let's forget that the system is in a G4 case at the moment and just talk about the pure Hackintosh elements. Now, as you guys know, I was going to build a Hackintosh last year, I believe, or it was, the plans even started late 2013, and I made a couple of videos and posts about it. It never went through for loads of different reasons, financial reasons, blah blah blah, time reasons, and I just didn't need it at that time. You know, the Mac Pro, even to this day, still does really well. If you guys want to hear more about that, check out the Geek Talk I did last week, I think it was, talking specifically about my Mac Pro. So there have been talks about a Hackintosh build on the channel for a very long time, and it'll be really nice if I can actually deliver one to you guys. So of course, I am probably going to be building on the LGA 1150 platform, socket, 1150 socket, with the Intel 4790K. That's basically the bog standard i7, you know, quad core, 3 point whatever gigahertz it is, I'm not even sure. People say go with an i5. I'll be going with an i7 because why the hell not? I'm going to dump a shed load of money into this build and I'm going to go all out. I'm hoping this system is going to be with me for years and years, and you know, I want an i7. I'm going from an 8-core Xeon Mac Pro, so you know, i7 is the least I can do. In terms of motherboard, I will be using, I believe, I will put the name down here if I mess it up, it is the Gigabyte Z97MD3H or DH3, something like that, which is the recommended motherboard for M80X there is not a gaming series on Tony Mac's X86 or whatever the website's called. I've just completely forgotten what the website's called. I need notes here. I need notes. But anyway, that in the buyer's guide, that's the recommended M80X motherboard. And of course, building inside a G4 case, you got to use an M80X motherboard. So that looks to be a nice board, nice connectivity. It's got everything I need from a board. You know, compatibility should be fine. Blah blah blah. Motherboard choice, great. Everything should be fine. In terms of RAM, you guys will notice that there's no RAM in that wish list. That is because I already own 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RAM. Now I will have to modify the heat sinks on this RAM because of the cooler that I want to use. The cooler is on the wish list. I'm not going to talk about it in this video because I don't want this video to get too long, and the cooler really isn't that important. I'll talk about that further down the line. You know, I'm just talking about the bare basic things in this video, the ideas that I've started off with. So that RAM will need to be cut down. Of course, that's just DDR3, 1600 megahertz, I believe. Nothing special, but I've got 32 gigs of the stuff that was donated to me ages ago. So yeah, I'm going to be putting that in the Hackintosh. That's why there's no RAM in the wish list. In terms of graphics cards, you will probably see a GTX 970 on the list, I believe. I've had a GTX 760 on the list for the longest time, but I thought I'd go all out and get a better card, considering I want this system to be with me forever. Well, forever, for a long time then. You know, I want to get a good 4 years out of this system if I can. So I'm thinking a 970 would be really nice, but I may step down to the 960 because even the 960 will be a really capable card for me. I probably will be installing Windows on this machine, but I doubt I'll use it for heavy gaming. It's not going to be overclocked, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be that, just because of constrictions in the G4 case. You know, I said I wasn't going to talk about the case, but you know, we all know that airflow isn't going to be brilliant. More to come on that in the end of the video. So graphics card still undecided, but when I press the add to basket button and order all this stuff, then, you know, that's the moment where I'll decide, shall I go for a 960 or shall I splash out the extra £100 and go for a 970? The 970 is a fantastic card. You can get them with 4 gigs of graphics memory. It's just absolutely mind-blowing how nice they are. But I won't be stepping up to anything crazy like a 980. It's just not worth it for me at this moment in time. In terms of storage, I will be going all out and getting 2 Samsung 850 Pro SSDs. I'm thinking of getting 2 256GB models just so that I can get 512 gigabytes. I'm going to put them in RAID 0, so hopefully I get pretty much double the performance. That's just going to be my OS X drive. And I may get a third 128 gigabyte SSD to put in there just for a Windows install, but I'm not sure about this yet. So Samsung 850 Pros, really nice SSDs, and I want to kind of try and match the speed as best as I can with my MacBook Pro. I really want this system to be pretty much equal or better than my MacBook Pro, because at the moment my MacBook Pro is faster than my Mac Pro, so I really need snappy storage, and I think RAID 0 SSDs are kind of an affordable, pretty speedy way to go. They're still not that comparable to, you know, PCIe based flash storage on the MacBook Pro, but they're still going to be blazing. So, you know, obviously connected via SATA revision 3, 6 gigabit a second, RAID 0, it's going to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to having those 2 850 Pros. Also, 512 gigs on my startup drive will be a very nice addition. That's double what I've got now on my Mac Pro and double what I've got now on my MacBook Pro. So it'll be really nice to have that extra storage. In terms of mechanical storage then, basically hard drives, I'll be using the blacks out of my Mac Pro. So I've got a 1TB and a 2TB. Basically what I'm hoping to do is use my 1TB for iTunes, just like I use it now, and use my 2TB black for all the video editing stuff, and then when it gets full, move it onto storage that I no longer need to access anymore and just keep going like I'm going now. So that should be absolutely fine. If I experience any problems with my Western Digital Caviar blacks between now and the build, then I'll just pick up some more. You know, what are they these days, 60, 70 pounds for a 1TB or a 2TB. They're very cheap for what you get. I was going to build this Hackintosh with no rotating storage in it whatsoever, but I would like local hard drives in the box. I'm just not quite ready to move completely to SSDs yet for financial reasons, and just I like my hard drives. They are a bit loud and a bit clunky, and of course it'll slow down Finder because it has to seek the hard drives when it opens a Finder window and does this and does that. But no big deal, it's all okay. And something has just happened behind me. Screensaver. that's okay, that's no big deal either. So finishing up on storage then, you do probably see a Blu-ray drive in that list, and you'll also see an external 5¼ inch bay that converts USB 3.0. It lets you have a drive externally. I will be putting a Blu-ray drive on this system, but not in the box. I have no interest in trying to do some crazy modifications to get an optical drive to actually fit in that case with a decent CPU cooler and you know, modified motherboard tray and all this. It's just something that I am not prepared to do, and I don't really care for having an optical drive inside the case anyway. I use an optical drive often, but not often enough for it to be, I don't need it built into the system. I use an optical drive about once every 2 weeks, maybe once every week at a busy time, put it like that. Reason I'm going Blu-ray is I would like to try and rip some of my favourite Blu-ray movies so that I can have them on a hard drive in a nice format, just so I can play them back without using the disc itself. So yeah, I'm fully prepared to try and give that a go. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out, but you will not see an optical drive in the box, that's a definite. So as you guys can probably tell, that's pretty much it for the bare basic components. I'll be getting a little USB 3.0 bracket to bridge the internal header just to the PCI slot at the back, just so I get more USB ports. I'll be doing little cool things here and there, making sure the cabling's all neat. Power supply at the moment, I am going to actually take a moment to talk about the power supply. I'll put the name of it here because I've forgotten. It's a Seasonic power supply, I believe. It's 760 watts, and a lot of people have said you don't need a 760 watt for all of this hardware. This is definitely the case, but if you get a power supply that is rated for a higher wattage, when it has a much lower load, that means the power supply fan won't need to spin up as much because the power supply won't get as hot, it won't be under as much strain. So that is equally as important as matching a load to a PSU when you're working in a restricted airflow case. That's something that a lot of people forgot about when I initially announced that I was putting a 760 watt PSU in this case. I believe it's 760, anything I say wrong I'll be correcting with little titles. But it's very important. I would even step it up even more, to be perfectly honest with you guys. I'd step it up even more just to get a better running PSU, because as you guys know, the fan of the PSU will be directly, even if you cut a cutout for it in the steel case, it'll still be a plastic, you know, the plastic outer part of the G4 right there. The PSU is very starved for airflow compared to what it would be in a normal ATX case. But if you get a higher rated PSU, you know, a 760 or an 850 or, you know, even a 1000 watt PSU, and you're giving it a very small load, then it won't have to stress itself out too much, it won't get as hot, and it'll cope better than say a 500 watt PSU or a 400 watt PSU in a case with that kind of airflow. You guys have got to remember that it's very different to building inside a PC case. So with all the talk about the components pretty much over, as you guys can see, they're very basic components. It's a basic micro ATX motherboard, but good quality. It's pretty much the only choice to go for if I'm looking for full compatibility from the buyer's guide. Also, you know, RAM, pretty simple, 32 gigs, being very generous to myself there, but I've already got it, so it's great. CPU, I'm going with an i7, why the hell not? Graphics card, still a little bit undecided, but you guys can probably tell it's going to be a beast anyway. SSDs and hard drives, all that is planned out nicely. So hopefully you guys respect my decision in components, and I really do welcome your opinion down below. So with components aside, let's talk a little bit about the case. Now then, doing this is extremely interesting, and it's not really an unusual thing to do. When you look in the community, a lot of people have put Hackintosh components, or PC components, sorry, inside a G4 case or a G5 case or even a G3 case and made it into Hackintosh. Now, it is quite simple to do if you know a couple of basic little things. If you're happy to cut a hole here and are happy to cut a hole there, then it's pretty basic to do. But you see a lot of power hack G4s or power hack G5s that are done so rough. When the side panel's on and you put it under the desk, it looks fine. But when you open it up, there are so many things that look rough. I've seen stuff with gaffer tape inside and Velcro and all this stuff. Just horrendous and horrible jagged things cut out for IO shield. Horrible, you know, lines on the back. Now, me with that kind of thing, if it was just me and I existed in this world on my own, then I would not attempt to do this. but I'm very fortunate because my dad is so skilled in this kind of thing, and he's so happy to help me with this kind of thing that, you know, we can just take an afternoon and I can plan out everything that I want to do to the case, and then he can just cut all the holes out of the case. You know, I'm happy to strip it all back and everything and keep all the screws safe and do all this, but he can sort out the motherboard tray for me and cut out my I/O shield hole, and he can also cut out extra fan holes. I want an extra one in the bottom, and I want an extra ventilation for the PSU on the side, and obviously there's a bit to cut away where the IUC goes in the back of the case depending on your PSU. So he can do all that for me, and I've spoken to him and he's happy to do it. So I've got nothing to worry about there, and of course I'll be heavily involved with this, making sure everything is going okay and making sure everything is right, and we'll plan everything out. It's definitely, you know, compared to some of the stuff that we've done in the past, it's not an easy thing, but it's definitely not a massive challenge. Let's talk a little bit about the case. What am I going to do differently to other people? Well, there's not a lot that I'm going to do different. One thing that I haven't seen a lot of is I am actually going to spray the inside of my G4 case black. I'm going to spray the whole inside of the G4 black, I believe at this moment anyway, just so all of the components look good in there. I'm not too keen on the silver finish. You know, it's a G4, so I love it. I wouldn't change a G4 for the world, but if I'm changing every single internal component, I think I'm going to spray everything black. But when you close that oven door, it will look exactly like a Quicksilver on the outside. I'm not doing anything like cutting a hole out in the front to put a fan in the front. I'm not doing anything with the optical drive bay, putting USB ports or anything in there. I'm not doing any of that rubbish. I'm not cutting fans in the top or holes in the top. Nothing. It's gonna look like a G4 when you close the case. I'm not painting it, I'm not doing anything, because I want it to look like a Quicksilver, because I love the Quicksilver. I love the MDD, but I already have an excuse to keep the MDD case design around because I've got my really nice dual 1.42 GHz system that I really won't be getting rid of anytime soon. But I don't have an excuse to keep a Quicksilver around, so I'm not going to go spraying it up any stupid colours because I like the old design. So I'll be keeping that design, and in terms of case mods, the only mods that I'll be doing are basically mods that allow the system to be built in the case. You know, nothing will be radically different. There'll be a fan in the bottom, hopefully, like I say, and a couple of cutouts here and there, but other than all that, all I'm hoping to do is a very clean job, just a nice clean job, and leave it at that. It's not going to be the cleanest job in the world, it won't be the best G4 mod out there at all, but hopefully it'll be really good, it'll be fun. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the subject right now. This has been a basic little video talking, just only scratching the surface about my G4 plans, my Hackintosh plans, the components, the modding, etc, etc. I could go into a lot more detail, but I think right now the important thing to do is for you guys to take a look at my wish list, take a look at the components, and drop me a comment just to say what do you guys think, you know, just to give me your opinions on everything that's happening. One thing that I would like to talk about is the time frame of this project, just so everyone's clear and you guys don't start shouting at me in 2 weeks' time because I haven't started the G4 yet. So I'm hoping to do this sometime during either March or April, because I'm still saving up in order to do this. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be really daring and try and sell my Mac Pro prior to building the Hackintosh and just use my MacBook Pro for a couple of weeks. That's fully doable, but I don't know if I could bring myself to do that, just in case I, you know, encounter any horrendous problems with the Hackintosh. I have no idea what I'm going to do yet, but that extra sort of £400 or £500 from the Mac Pro would really help me out. But I do need to save up quite a bit of extra money before I can go ahead with this project. Now, I did have enough funds. I could buy all of the parts now, but it would leave me a little low on funds, and I have other things in life that I need to save for at the moment. I've got, you know, some quite big things going down, so I can't really be splashing all of my hard-earned cash on a fancy new computer for myself. So I do need to sell a couple of extra things to fund this project. So that'll keep the channel ticking over as I sell some of my gaming stuff and some of my other stuff. But all that aside, guys, please don't expect this video before March or April, probably even April. It's going to be so exciting. And also, what I want to do with this project is keep you guys fully updated. So there may be a couple more update videos before I even get any of the parts. Also, it is highly likely that you guys will see the G4 Quicksilver case very soon. I'd like to get the case, I'd like to get my hands on the case to maybe get started on the case before ordering any of the components, because I've got M80X boards that I can test fit and stuff with, and ATX power supplies. That's not a problem at all. I'll make sure when I'm clearing out that I keep a couple of those back. just in case I need them. Well, I'll need them to measure up and stuff probably. It'll make my life a lot easier. And I am looking to get my hands on the case. Now hopefully I'll get my case for nothing, or just for postage costs or whatever, from a viewer, because I know a couple of you guys have already offered cases. I am looking for the case to be in extremely, pretty much immaculate condition on the exterior. None of these scratches on the Apple logos, and no dents and no chips, nothing like that. I want to preserve the gorgeous G4 Quicksilver design. So to do that, I'd like a really good looking system on the exterior, and I will be keeping a very close eye on how careful I am building the system and taking it apart and that, and really looking after the case. Nothing will be rushed. So I'm hoping to finalise some plans with a couple of people, maybe even get a couple of G4 cases in and use the best parts out of 2. So it's likely that you'll see G4 case mods and stuff come way before the Hackintosh build itself. This is going to be a process over the next couple of months as funds roll in. So guys, I've talked your ears off. This is going to be it from me for today and today's video. Thank you very much for sticking to the end. Please give me a thumbs up if you watched this video all the way to the end and if you liked it. Of course, expect a video tomorrow, the day after, the day after. I'm really enjoying making all these videos. Hope you guys enjoy the plans. Remember to bookmark my wish list down below, because it's going to be changing over the next few weeks when I make decisions. And apart from that, guys, I have nothing else to say apart from thank you very much for watching, and of course, I'll see you in tomorrow's video.